Dr. Holt. I'm doing my speech today on why marijuana should be legalized. The purpose is to persuade my audience to understand marijuana is better for you than cigarettes and alcohol, which has been a lot of scientific research done and proven as it is. There are millions of pot smokers in America and millions more infrequent smokers. Smoking pot clearly has fewer dangerous and hazardous effects in society than legal drugs such as alcohol. To say that marijuana has had a bad rep over the past few decades is an understatement. If you're like most Americans, you've been taught to believe that marijuana is a dangerous and addictive drug that has destroyed the lives of millions of teens and adults. You've been encouraged to believe that marijuana causes lung cancer and is a gateway drug to harder drugs. The government has even tried to convince you that most people who are marijuana users just sit around on couches all day doing nothing. That's not true. Alcohol is more toxic, more addictive, and more harmful to the body, more likely to result in injuries, and more likely to lead to interpersonal violence than marijuana is. I myself am not a marijuana smoker yet, but I do believe it should be legalized and properly controlled. I've been around many smokers and alcoholics, and I've seen the effects of them that they have on people. More people die from alcohol and cigarettes than from marijuana use. Research has consistently shown that marijuana is far less addictive than alcohol-based and on a number of indicators. According to the National Academy of Sciences Institute of Medicine, dependence among marijuana users is relatively rare and far less severe than the dependence on drugs. I have a chart here that shows how does cannabis compare to other drugs. If you look, you got nicotine, it's way up there. 6 being the most serious. Heroin, cocaine, alcohol, caffeine, and cannabis. So caffeine and cannabis is about the same as far as effects, because caffeine is a drug also. But it's far less than alcohol and nicotine, as you can see. Prohibitionists say that marijuana causes brain damage. Scientific research tells us that cannabinoids exert a neuroprotective effect, which put in everyday language means that cannabis does not kill brain cells, it protects them. So anytime they say that you're smoking, burning up your brain cells when you're smoking marijuana, people are wrong. It's actually protecting your brain cells. I will discuss why marijuana can be beneficial for medical use and properly controlled for personal use. Let me explain how marijuana helps with medical conditions. It helps with chronic pain, arthritis, glaucoma, and migraines. Talk a little bit about chronic pain. More medication is prescribed each year for pain and pain management than almost any other in the United States. For this reason, there's been a lot of more interest about how medical marijuana can help. One of the core benefits is its relaxation. Everybody knows marijuana relaxes your body. Makes you just want to sit around and hang out. For that reason, it's potent for chronic pain and provides the same chemical activity as most prescription pain medications without severe side effects of addiction and withdrawal. So you don't get addicted to marijuana that way. Doctors and patient First Wellness Center prefer medical marijuana because it does not contain the additive characteristics of most pain medications. Another added benefit of medical marijuana is that it can reduce the dependency of prescription drugs. You know, people get hooked on like Percocet, codeine, and all those other drugs. Alright, I'm going to tell you a little bit about arthritis. Joint pain often worsens with inflammation. Medical marijuana what it does is it reduces the pain during activity, allow people to return to everyday activities. So when the athletes do marijuana, which they get drug tested for, it actually heals their joints because they're working them so much and they get beat up on throughout the game, especially football players. Many people looking for pain management in Las Vegas have turned to medical marijuana for relief. Glaucoma. Glaucoma runs in my wife's side of the family, and her father has it. Her aunt has it. She doesn't have it yet. Yeah, I hope she doesn't get it. But it's often associated with pressure on the eyes. medical marijuana does is relieves the pressure and tension, allowing vision to return to normal. So, you can prescribe that to help with glaucoma. And I'm going to move to migraines. More than just helping with pressure and inflammation, medical marijuana helps migraines by allowing medicine to be taken. With most migraines, eating and swallowing pills is painful and often leads to vomiting. Marijuana reduces vomiting, allowing treatment to be taken. You don't vomit when you smoke marijuana. You might choke a little bit, but you don't. Those are just a few of the things that marijuana can do for you medically. I will now focus on other reasons why it should be legalized with the proper control measures in place. Should marijuana be legalized for recreational use by adults? This is the question that voters in 3 states have considered this past November. Colorado, Washington, and Oregon all have ballot measures. If passed, will end marijuana prohibition in their state. They want it legalized so that the whole thing behind it is if they legalize marijuana, it's going to cut down on kids actually just getting it because you want to be a certain age to purchase it. That way you don't have kids telling the kids order it because they can't get it. It's going to be just like alcohol and cigarettes. Colorado's 64th Amendment 64, which seeks the legalization of marijuana for adults 21 and older, appears to be popular among voters. A recent poll from Museum showed that 61% of likely Colorado voters are in favor of legalizing marijuana if it is regulated the way alcohol and cigarettes are currently regulated, like I just said. I think that would work, honestly, dude. It would cut down on a whole lot of stuff like the drug trafficking, guns, because drug trafficking and guns go hand in hand. And if you legalize marijuana, you're going to get rid of a lot of the drug runners and all that stuff with the guns. Plus, you can make more money if you legalize marijuana. Because they spend so much money trying to stop it. If they just legalize it, then they will make more profit and they can do other things with the money they make off of it. A regulated legal market in marijuana will reduce marijuana sales and use among teenagers, as well as reduce their exposure to other drugs early in the illegal market. The illegality of marijuana makes it more valuable than if it were legal, providing opportunities for teenagers to make easy money selling to their friends, like I just said. If the excessive profits of marijuana sales were ended through legalization, there will be less incentive for teens to sell it to one another. Teenage use of alcohol and tobacco remains serious public health problems, even though those drugs are legal for adults. However, the availability of alcohol and tobacco is not made even more widespread, providing kids have economic incentives to sell one to their friends or to their peers. Now, I have a little worksheet on how the comparison between alcohol and marijuana. I'm going to pass these out to everybody so you can look and you can learn. There's a website on there. You can look it up yourself if you don't believe me. It says, does use contribute to, and has alcohol and marijuana to overdose death? Alcohol, yes. Marijuana, no. Sexual assaults? Alcohol, yes. Marijuana, no. Domestic violence? Alcohol, yes. Marijuana, no. Violent crimes? Alcohol, yes. Marijuana, no. I have not met anybody that smoked marijuana and went to some violence. All they want to do is eat or sleep. That's it. Or just sit around. Alright. Marijuana is not a lethal drug and is safer than alcohol. It is established scientific fact that marijuana is not toxic to humans. Marijuana overdoses are nearly impossible, and marijuana is not nearly as addictive as alcohol or tobacco. It is unfair and unjust to treat marijuana users more harshly under the law than the users of alcohol or tobacco. In conclusion, I've discussed how marijuana can help you medically and how it's less dangerous than other drugs or alcohol. It has made our nation thinking about the possibility of legalizing it one day in the future. Colorado is one of the states I spoke about that wants marijuana legalized. I myself am for change. It has less effect on your body and there are less deaths. If it is a relaxing drug that makes you hungry, arouse your sexual life, or just something to make you relax, I vote for legalization of marijuana. If there's any questions, that's the end of my speech. Was that okay?